and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all.
This is Falcon V1 with episode 2 of the Falcon and Trean show. I'm somebody.
You've already forgotten who you are. You're that bad at introduction you can't remember your own name.
Yes.
So you've just completely fucked up the intro segment of the show.
I'm sorry.
Okay. But I guess everyone already knows who I am because I'm the English guy, so it's pretty obvious. Exactly.
Who's this guy? There's another guy here. I don't like him.
And I am Firus, the guest star of this episode. Yeah.
Star is pushing it.
Yeah, okay, I'm the guest of this episode. There we go.
There you go. I'm proud of you. Okay.
No, it's a nice way to treat guests. You just say, no. You're not special. You just here, kind of riding.
You only guess right when they actually pose some kind of threat to you. Firus is nobody.
Well, he could ban you. I mean, you're worth nothing. We could both kick you to the curb if we wanted.
You love me, Trean. You'd never get me banned.
Yeah, but others could, and I couldn't say anything about it.
Bullshit. Yeah. No, you'd suck them off for me. Including the female ones.
Yeah, but not the black ones.
Oh. Do we have black mods?
Sure we do. Yeah, they all know about this, don't worry.
We feel diverse. I don't know about any of them. I don't pay attention to mods.
They're happy that I wouldn't suck them off, because then they know that there's not going to be any kind of fag moments with me. It's just,
God.
I'm black. I'm safe. Butt plug, so...
Seems like something you should put in your SIG. Black, safe.
I'd get in trouble, just like with everything else I do. So.
Yeah, it's alright. It's not fun if you're not getting in trouble.
It's true.
It's always fun when you're getting in trouble. That's why I do it. Anyway, so, what are we talking about today, Trean?
I don't know. What are we talking about today, Falcon?
Because the first thing we're going to talk about is... Just tell me you remember this.
Being a moderator or something?
Yay!
Moderating with stupid people, mainly, so yes.
Oh my god, what's that fucking jet plane doing outside my window?
There's a jet plane outside Trean's window, yo.
Yeah.
It's because someone's gonna...
It's 9/11 over here. I'm gonna get killed by something. Yeah, because I can't hear what you're saying thanks to the plane. But now I can hear.
It's okay.
Okay.
So, anyway. Firus, you're the mod of the Pokemon Center still, right? I don't know, I'd ever fucking follow this shit.
Yep. Yeah, I am the mod of the Poké Center, sort of. Except, everyone in the Poké Center decided that they didn't really like what was going on in the Poké Center, except they were really unclear about what exactly it was that they wouldn't like, and then they made up a bunch of stuff, and then it turned out really what they wanted was, stupid, and then we said no, and then they decided, fine, we're just going to continue on, moving on to our own new form, except their new form died, so now the old Poké Center is dead, and their, quote, new Poké Center is dead, too, so they lose.
Good. I'm actually glad the Poké Center died.
Yeah.
It's funny that not, because originally, when Firus was up for modship, a long time, before... Actually, can I talk about that? Well, I guess I can in some senses. I guess originally I wasn't... Because I always knew that, even before he was a mod of the Pokemon Center, he fucking hated everyone there. He always did. And I'm just like, if he becomes a mod, he's going to go off on everyone and destroy them. But I was surprised he didn't do that. But he dealt with them in a more diplomatic way, which was funny.
Yeah, I actually spent a lot of my time hating everyone around me while just being, quiet and nice and smiling and just being like, I wish your head would explode right now.
What was kind of fucking hilarious is when he started telling me about it, and then he started, actually linking me to direct threads just to show me how retarded the bullshit was. And if he was talking, there probably would have been, a tone to his voice that was just like, please Falcon, make some shit happen. Make this entertaining for me. You don't understand, man. It's funny, because I would basically relay, certain opinions Firus already had, just in a more brazen way, and people would just claim I'm trolling, even though I wasn't even, stating just opinion, I was giving reasoning for my fact.
Yeah, well, the Pokemon Center is where everything goes to die.
Yeah, pretty much.
I enjoyed it. I remember one time there was, I think it was Zook had just, I don't know, pissed off somewhere, I don't know, and I was like, okay, so just sitting around and JV's like, oh, yo, we need someone to babysit the Pokemon Center for a while. And I was like, whatever. I mean, if nobody else will, I will. And nobody else wanted to, which I thought was a bit odd, because everyone always jumps at the chance to mod some place. I'm like, why wouldn't they? And so it was just me, and I was like, okay. And I go in, and literally, the moment I just get added to the room, everyone just comes in and starts shouting abuse at me. Like, I don't know, why are you angry? I haven't even done anything. And like, because it should be me. Yeah, no, it should be me. I'm the one that deserves it. And I'm like, you do realize I'm only here for a week, right? I'm not actually your mod. Just to make that clear.
Yeah.
But, you know, blah, blah. I think even Metakovi gave me shit, which was funny.
Yeah.
And then I told him later, I still give him shit for doing that. And he's always like, oh, I'm sorry. So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, everyone was just all upset. And I'm like, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for literally a few days, and then I'm gone. But, yeah, it was an interesting experience. After that, I would literally just go back to the Pokemon Center any opportunity when I wasn't there mod, and just, like, in a way that didn't break the rules, I'd cause a bit of trouble. Or, like, you know...
I'm pretty sure there were a couple times after that where you came back and then you posted there and people were like, oh, why don't you post here more often?
Yeah, they do. They do that
which is really kind of stupid.
Yeah,
I think they got
wonder
some kind of Stockholm syndrome is a thing. They started to love their abuser.
The thing is I didn't even do much when I was there because it was only
I don't even remember. I think you closed one thread. I remember that because somebody bumped a really, really, really old thread just to say the end. And then I think you closed that. I think that's the only thing you did.
Yeah, pretty much. I can't even remember doing that, but I do remember doing like something really mundane, but apart from that, nothing I can particularly remember. It was a while ago. And
that was back in like, what, 09?
Probably.
All the good shit happened in 09. Nothing hilarious really happened in 010.
Oh, dude. Kawaii Bunny was disgraced in 2010.
You should tell us about that. That's another bit we could add, because
okay, I guess
really... Well, okay, I kind of got pretty much the full story, but I got it way the fuck later than everyone else, right? So, like, I made some offhand comment about, like, Kawaii Bunny, right? Because, she was online. And Strake's like, she's not a girl, you know that, right? And I'm like, what do you mean she's not a girl?
She is a girl. I know this because I phoned her. But that's later on in the story. Okay, I'll start it from the beginning, since technically it doesn't really matter anymore, since she's not moderator and, you know, she's gone. Blah, blah, blah. So basically, it all started when she was friends with this guy called Choco, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. Or maybe a bit more than friends. Ooh. And they were cool, right? And so they would talk a lot. And then one day, I think it was Air Gemini that noticed this. Air Gemini or Deku, either one of those two. And it was probably Air Gemini because he's a stalker. And he noticed that the pictures that she posted on Smashboards, she started posting the same girl more recently. Like, the first time it was this really pale Asian chick. And after that, it was like a completely different looking chick, but people didn't really seem to question her about it, which was odd. But she posted these pictures which weren't her. And then they found the MySpace of the girl that it really belonged to. And she would actually post in sync. So as soon as those pictures came up, she would post them on Smashboards and even made a fake Facebook with it and everything. And so this is what was happening. And then this was discovered, and this was a couple months before she was, you know, disgraced. And we were just talking, me, Chaco, Air Gemini, and Deku, I think. We were in a group chat, and we were like, what are we going to do? Because we were the people that knew. And the reason they brought me into this was because of the previous whole Kingdom of the Hearts thing.
Yeah.
Which is just, I don't know, me always having to be the one that calls people out because nobody else has the balls to, like, take any kind of heat. So I'm like, whatever. But then I said, you know, don't you want to talk to her first? And then they said, okay, we'll try that. And then Air Gemini tried talking to her. She kind of blanked him. Choco tries talking to her, and then she just kind of brushes him off. And then she disappears for a while. And then we thought, oh, okay, she's disappeared. No use in really doing anything if she's disappeared. And then she comes back, and again she starts kind of brushing things off again, pretending like none of that happened. And the day that I outed her was the exact same day that this whole drama with another mod happened. It was to do with the whole thing. Like, do you remember that thing with? Actually, no, I don't think you'd know. A couple of people outside of the mod rooms would know the whole drama between Chibo and Kalo.
I've not heard
And
about that.
On the exact same day that was happening in the Legion of Doom, which was hilarious. Right, this is
I like vaguely read about that. Yeah.
Right, and the day after, or like all late in the night, sort of, I just sort of Kawaii Bunny made some like really like sarcastic post in defense of Kalo, like insulting all of us, right? And I made a kind of offhand post about how she pretended like stole some pictures, and then Chaco notices that and he goes, "Yo, come here, like now is the time." I'm like, "Are you sure? Like, are you sure?" Because I typed up the whole call out and everything, and dressed up nicely, and I had the pictures, I had the whole thing just ready to copy and paste at any time, at moment's notice. Yeah, he was literally like that. He was like, "Do it now." I'm like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Are you sure?" "Yes, really sure." Yeah, I'm like, "Fine, okay, fuck it." Just making sure that you don't get upset, because I don't care. And I posted it. And yeah, I basically called her out for being a liar. And a couple of mods actually defended her. Well, not all of them mods. I mean, some, because this room also has retired mods who are allowed to be in there as well.
Right.
And so a couple of people like defended her and stuff. And then, but there was a huge kind of lynch mob kind of mentality about, not so much lynch mob, it was like a bandwagon of just everyone just laughing more than like getting angry. Nobody was that angry. Everyone was just kind of found it hilarious. And because of that, she was like ultimately completely disgraced, and she kind of never came back. Although she came back a few months later to start trolling like OTL, which was her like original room, and started trolling Choco as well, which caused him to ban her for something, which got him in a lot of trouble. And yeah, I mean, it was a long story, but it was funny at the moment when that disgracing was also thanks to me, but it was other people's ideas. It was basically pretty much everyone else just saying, "We don't have, the stones to do this, so you just type it out, and you just take all the heat for it as well, and we'll just kind of like sit in the background and just enjoy it." And I'm like, "Fine, okay, whatever." But it was kind of funny. Like, well, it wasn't kind of funny. It was very funny.
That was fucking hilarious. That sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, Firus should know. He should. I mean, were you not there? Were you not a mod at the time?
No, when that whole thing happened, no, I wasn't. I
Ah.
kind of caught wind of it, like, same thing with the Kalo thing. Like, I caught wind of both of those things, like, afterwards by kind of, like, searching through there, but I wasn't actually there for it, unfortunately.
That night was absolutely amazing. It was like January last year. It was the funniest night. I mean, because it was so funny that everyone from the back room that used to be a mod, but most of the back roomers hate the mod social room. That mods, like, because the back room's very much kind of insular. It's kind of like Japan. It's basically the Japan of Smash boards. And they all come in. They just kind of start raiding the place and just start kind of riding the coattails of our drama. And it's like, no, you can't do that. Okay? You can't ignore our room and insult us whenever you do come in, because you say, "Oh, this place is boring or stupid," and then suddenly you start coming in and reaping the benefits of our great moments. You can't do that. And I was pretty upset at that. Or not upset, but it was just kind of lame.
Yeah.
Yeah. After that, they didn't come back, obviously, because they just didn't come that often. Just for the drama. They only came for the drama.
Yeah.
Just for the shit. It was hilarious.
You said she originally posted a picture of a really pale Asian girl. Was that the girl who was actually her, or was that another fake picture? Like, did you ever figure out?
That's not a fake picture. Because,
what the fuck does she actually look like?
Don't you remember that blog that she made, which was like Last or whatever, like her goodbye?
Oh yeah.
I remember there was like a girl behind like some paper or some shit.
Exactly, to prove that it was her. And the funny thing about that is that it looks so much like the fake girl she was posting.
Yeah.
So why did she fake it then?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. She was probably slightly insecure, but wanted to be like a cute Asian chick.
I mean, I was like looking at that.
You are an Asian chick, so just.
Yeah.
When I heard her on the phone, because part of the investigation which I was doing at the time, and I was like, "Ooh, Mr. Sherlock Holmes and stuff," was I phoned her up at one point, and I just didn't say anything. Well, I did. I just kind of laughed when I found out she was a girl, but she was like, "Hello," but like the hello was a very kind of deep white girl voice to me,
God.
and I was like, white girl, right? Or maybe she didn't sound Asian. But then she said she was half Asian, so I guess that made sense.
It's okay.
So yeah, interesting times. And she was in fact a girl, and she looked a lot like the fake girl that she posted, which is what was really sad about it. Just why would you do that? I mean, if you were some butterface troll, then okay. But
She
was...
did it so I could have my moment, that's why, because secretly she loves me. I still remember you used to like joke about that too. You're all like, you love her, Falcon, don't lie. And I'm like, I'm gonna punch this woman. And you're like, you dream of waking up next to her, don't lie. And I'm like, not really.
No, but I always just say that because it was funny because he would always, at every given opportunity, would always
troll the shit out of her. I mean, say something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So, it's kind of a whole kind of.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like her. So let's talk to Firus about this because he's just sitting there quiet in the corner with alienating our
I do a lot of that.
So, Firus, words, say them now. Darn.
Words. I don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know.
You had no strong feelings towards Kawa. You loved her, didn't you?
Everyone knew Kawa.
I never really actually interacted with her that much. I just sort of like saw her like post and stuff like that, and I don't know. I didn't really make much of an opinion on her, but I didn't really like her.
Alright, you weren't a Kirby main like my dumbass. For some reason, I really fell in love with that back air.
Yeah, I literally visited the Brawl section of the site for about like a month before I stopped visiting it, and then from there, I think the only time I've really ever gone back is to go to all the hacks stuff.
I really wish I could see how many of the chat rooms I got saved, because I got back when I was cool with Sasuke Bowser and some other like a Kirby main or some crap. They would sometimes invite me to chats, right? And Kaiwa would be there, right? And I would pretty much just troll the ever-loving shit out of her, except the thing is, it wasn't on Smashboard, so I could get away with way more. So I would just ask her, like, the most, like, absurd sexual shit ever. And she would get, like, either silent or really pissy, and, like, other guys would try to defend her, like, Falcon, that's gross. And I'm like, I'm just saying what you're thinking, bro.
No, and you know what I hate? What I truly hate is when a guy will say, that's gross. First of all, you're a man, okay? Gross and balls. There is no such thing as gross, unless it's like a pile of vomit and rotting flesh and your face has been like wrenched in it and stuff. That's gross. But like, I'm gonna fuck this girl up the arse. That's not gross. That's just fucking some girl in the arse. And you can wear a condom and it's fine. Or like, I'm gonna jizz down your throat. That's not gross. That's hilarious. And what you all dream of doing. Or like, yeah, like, I'm going to choke you with my dick. Oh, that's so disgusting and misogynistic. Yeah, no shit, but you still want to do it. That's why there's so much porn dedicated to it. So, again, like, that's one of the few things. And guys, whenever there's a girl around, they always pretend like they're decent human beings. When they're men, which means we're not decent human beings.
Yeah, pretty much. I like to tell that to every girl that's in a new relationship ever. I just ask them, or, like, remind them. You know he wants to fuck you, right? Like, really bad. Like, really bad. Not, like, thinking about it. Like, he thinks he's thinking about doing it right now, actually. Like, masturbating.
Girls are really sexual as well. Like...
Yeah. Well,
like, very sexual.
girls can be a little, because I think they have some different thoughts about that shit sometimes, Like, they go in with different...
teenage girls are sluts as well. I mean, if my ex-girlfriend is any indication, like...
Your ex-girlfriend's fucking insane. She's an indication of nothing but crazy people, Taryn.
Yeah, but I mean, our friends are crazy as well.
You're in love with her, even though you're gay, which must be hard.
And there was... Shut up.
He's laughing, but he won't deny it.
Oh, God. But there were, like, for some other girls from her school, like her previous school was a boarding school, and then she came to the sister school of ours. And but the boarding school girls, and this is the last girl I got off was some ebony booty right here. So the last girl I got off was black, and before we used to make any racist comments, and literally, she just devoured me. I was like enough at that point where I didn't care about even the whole straight masquerade. But like, I never like told anyone I was gay at that point. But I was still kind of not that bothered to even bother with like pick up girls. And then this girl just jumps on top of me and just like devours me, like eats me alive with those big like black girl lips. And so it tasted quite nice though. She had coconut lip balm and like her huge tits and.
Is this gonna go somewhere we don't want to know?
Well, like me banging some black girl or whatever. Like but yeah, I mean, girls are whores as well. I mean, she attacked me, all right. So whoever said that, like, guys are big kind of
Taryn, you
horny-
attract whores. You know that.
probably because
I don't know if you've ever met a decent person in your life ever since you started being whatever it is that you are. Some amazing,
Well,
innocent girl that you've terrified.
basically ever since I started being a 14-year-old boy.
No.
I don't think I've never progressed. Ever since I turned 14, I'm just like, you know what, I think I'm in a good mental state right now. I think I'll just keep that forever. That's pretty much me,
All mature people are bisexual, bro.
bro.
Yeah, man. Bro.
Bro.
Know what I'm saying, bro? That's why when I say
So I guess this turned into a conversation about sex and how all women are whores.
Yeah.
I think that can be our
For a
topic,
basic
actually.
headline.
It's better than games, I think.
Yeah.
What was it? Crappy mod, Kawaii Bunny, sex. ... And video games. Alright, well, we're gonna take a small break. And when we come back, Firus is gonna kill himself live on it. Fuck.
Yo.
Yeah.
And we're back. Taryn, you want to describe something for us, so go
Well,
ahead.
you want me to describe something for you? Yeah,
No,
like,
you want it, bitch.
because no, you're the one that told me to describe
No,
it.
I
But anyway, okay, whatever, little bitch. We all know that I don't like girls in a specific way, but I've got this really cool lighter, which basically it's a naked woman's torso, but it's got 2 LEDs on it, and when you click the lighter and the flame comes out, her tits light up. It's great. I love it. So
How did you acquire such a thing? I must know.
by putting down some money on a cash register, and the guy's like, and that will be $4.99, and I said, yes sir, here's £5.
$4.99 for the greatest deal of your life? That's...
And then
Where exactly do you get a lighter like that?
I don't know, like there are some shops which have specialist kind of lighter sections. Lighters are really popular. Lighters are more popular than a lot of novelty items. I don't know why. Like, you can go to some random shop, they'll just have like a Zippo rack. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because a lot of people smoke weed as well. So
I always find it hilarious. You can always tell when someone's in the beginning stages of becoming a pothead when they start like bragging to you or talking about their fucking lighter like I give a shit. And I'm like, it's a lighter. Like,
I know,
it's
but
not even
lighters
like,
are important.
it doesn't even look special. It's just a fucking lighter with like a marijuana leaf on it or some
Oh
shit.
no, I hate those. I hate fucking lighters with pot leaves on them. But I've got a pretty cool Zippo, and it's like engraved and stuff. And the good thing about Zippos is they're windproof, which is very important for people who smoke when it's windy, which is quite often in England.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I appreciate a good lighter.
So, Taryn, you wanted to continue ranting on about women's, and I think Firus secretly wants to join too.
I don't want to rant about women, because like women are cool in a lot of ways, but actually no, they're really not, are they?
Oh my god. Firus, I know
Nah.
you have some at least semi-amazing stories, at least about your friends' retarded ass erections, not
Dear God,
interactions.
do you really want me to talk about how stupid my friends are?
I like that shit where you said, you had a friend who was like interested in some bitch, and he came over to your
Yeah.
house. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah. So my friend at the midnight premiere for the Harry Potter movie, he met this girl, like, you know, briefly, who's friends with a bunch of other friends that he was going with, and I don't really know how much interaction he had with her, but he apparently, you know, now fell in love with her or something. I don't know. No, so the fun part is that she lives down the street from me. So he came over to my house like a week ago, and we were hanging out. He was standing by the window just like looking out, and he like called me over and was like, "Oh, so I was just like trying to see if I could look at her house, and look, she's out on the front porch." And I was just like, "Are you really creeping out my window at her? Really?"
That's
And
pretty
then,
normal.
yeah, I don't think so.
Creep, yo. You creep on your own
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and then when he was talking to me later on IM, he was like, Yeah, so I hope she didn't notice us creeping at her, and I was like, wait, where's the us here? I don't think I was creeping at her.
Yeah, it's funny though, because like it depends entirely on what the premise is. Like I remember watching Smallville, right? And for several seasons, Clark Kent had this telescope installed in his barn, and he's got a crush on Lana Lang, right? And he'll like point his telescope at her window and look at her for like hours on end each
normal.
night. And oh, it's Superman, so it's cool, you know. Superman's not a pervert. He's not a peeping Tom. And for example, he gets like X-ray vision.
Oh God.
For the first time, he starts to be able to use X-ray vision, and he kind of looks through and he sees the girl's changing room, and he's like, "Yay!" And then suddenly he sees Lana. Then he's like, "Oh my God, yes!" And he just keeps it on. It's like, of course. So, yeah, I mean, depending on how people dress things up, it's either creepy or it's just kind of cute, you know.
Yeah.
When the guy is staring at a girl.
Yeah, but he was like, throughout, I mean, there were other friends there too, and he was like, just like throughout the night, just kind of like looking out the window, like occasionally, and like, it bothered the crap out of me, but.
How
You
old is
really
he?
got the point of it. If you're not actually doing it to learn something, like,
Well-
how little interaction with this girl do you get to where you have to be glued to a fucking window, you know?
Yeah, I like really at that point. I think he'd hung out with her all of once, and I don't know how much interaction you even had with somebody at a movie anyway.
Hey.
So I'm not sure how much he got to know her, but
Hey, Firus.
Yeah.
Hey, Firus. Hey, Firus. Hey, Firus.
yeah.
Want to talk about the younger girl who had a crush on you? Hey, Firus. Want to talk about the girl?
Oh dear God, do I really have to talk about that too?
Yeah, you should talk about it. You should talk about all the shit your friends made you do too. You can't tell, but I'm bouncing in my seat right now because I love that story. Come on. Tell us,
Actually, I
Firus.
think I kind of heard. Well, let's see, what was it? It was like a year ago or something like that. Because it was about 2 years ago in the fall that I first met this girl. She's my friend's cousin.
And it was love at first sight.
And well, I guess for her it might have been. I don't know. She was very clingy, very like like invading my bubble kind of thing. And I'm very, as you can probably tell from like the first half of this, I'm very quiet and not very.
No, you're a very strong personality.
Yeah, no. So I was, she was kind of invading my bubble. I was kind of like, I don't even know what you're doing. But, by the end of the night, it's at my friend's birthday party, I guess it was. And by the end of the night, I was kind of like, all right, whatever. I'm used to it. I guess this is just like how she is. Like maybe she's not, like, whatever. Because she was like, briefly doing that to a few other guys that were there too. No, so then I see her again for the second time at his graduation party in, like, the summer. And so she's doing the thing again, and I'm, like, perfectly okay with it or whatever, because I'm like, all right, whatever. And keep in mind that this girl is, like, 14. Was 14.
Oh man, just ruins it.
Now.
I can't ask you why didn't you fuck her.
Like, hey, why didn't you? Oh.
Well, yeah. So she. After, at the end of the party, I give her my phone number, which was a mistake, because I hate cell phones. I hate texting. I have a full keyboard phone, and I still can't stand texting. And she texted me. So she was texting me, and then I guess eventually she got me to get on IM with her, where she explained that she liked me.
And you loved her.
No, I never really liked her. Like she's pretty, I guess, but I don't, whatever. Not really interested in her. Also, 14 years old. That doesn't really work.
Virus.
And
How old are you?
nobody else seemed to understand.
Yeah.
Well,
Virus. How old
I
were
was
you?
17 at the time, but
Oh.
almost.
Come on,
18.
3 years, minor.
So
That's
I'm
so
almost-
minor league. I mean, in America, you can even get away with screwing her anyway at that age, because the age gap is so small.
Yeah,
I'm just
but-
like kind of giving you tips on kind of blurring the lines of the law here.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if she decides to go fucking batshit nuts on him and on a decent amount of states,
Yeah.
that 3-year age gap at this time could be actually a felony charge instead of a goddamn, like, misdemeanor. Pretty
No,
sure.
but it isn't even a misdemeanor
that's
because
the
this
thing.
is a special rule.
Well, I don't know about Firus' state, but I can tell you in the fucking state of California, even two minors having consensual sex at the exact same age can still get in trouble for it. And if you were like, I think they said if there's a 3-year age gap, even if you're a minor yourself, I'm almost certain that's what they said, it can count as like more than a misdemeanor. And yeah, you're kind of eligible for, the sexual predator list? Yeah.
Yes, but the thing is that it depends. Like, the police prioritize what they're going to press charges on. If it's a bunch of teenagers fucking, right, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, let's press charges and put this guy on the sex offenders register when it's like, a bunch of teenagers. When it's like, if it's like some 40-year-old man, then it's serious business. But you've got to prioritize. They know what they're doing. Like,
well, no, I'm saying she like claimed he raped her or some shit and had like some
yeah, but she obviously wouldn't. But then it's like, why would you leave it all this time? So
yeah,
if there are extenuating circumstances, and they know when people are talking shit. Like, girls talk a lot of shit. Nobody ever believes women when they say they get raped. Like, a woman legitimately gets raped and nobody believes her. All right, so a girl that hasn't actually got raped and she cries it, as if they're actually gonna believe that. Again, this is me, like, just step in and talk about women. No,
see, the thing is, I'm pretty sure she probably would have gone crazy on me because after, I was like, yeah, I don't, not interested in whatever. She was still kind of clingy, and then she texted me like 50 times the next day, and then I didn't turn my phone on for the next year after, my friends decided to call me out the wazoo, and I hated cell phones forever. But, I don't know, at some point in the future, she randomly IM'd me and was like, is it bad if I have, like, a list of people I could ruin if I, charge them sexual harassment? And I was like,
Wait, like,
no.
She wrote down a list?
I guess so.
Then, yeah, that's kind of bad, because it shows she's actually been thinking about it. Like a fucking crazy person.
No, not crazy, she's clever, that's what she is.
Taryn, don't encourage this kind of behavior.
No, look, because basically it's a girl finally using her brain rather than using her emotions, right? She realizes that she can get some nice, like, juicy dick in her, and then if the guy doesn't treat her how she wants, she can just screw them up, like screw their life up, and just put them on a list and blackmail them and all kinds of things. Like, you just keep giving me that dick or I'll ruin your life. So I think that's great. I think more women should partake in such behavior, and they should learn from women like this. They should learn to be more intelligent. Maybe guys would actually respect them if they use their brains.
I think they could use their brains without trying to screw a man over.
And she was also just kind of a drama queen anyway, because she was like, after I'd already told her I wasn't interested, she was like, my grandfather's dying, please comfort me. And then at the same time, she was making like Facebook statuses about how funny something in WarioWare Smooth. I was just like, there's something wrong with you.
Did you say that?
No, I was just like,
Do you guys still talk?
Nope.
I was gonna say, would you like to say it for you?
I basically avoided her at all costs for like, I don't know, a few months, and I think she's finally, gotten, past that and won't be bothering me anymore. But you never know. She tends to decide, like, out of the blue 3 months after we've last talked to suddenly talk to me again, and then I have to avoid her even more for more months. But
you two make a cute couple.
Not really.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that in terms of because you know how I'm just a kind of fucking duck kind of guy. I don't really stick to things much, but I'll just 3 months later or 4 months later, I'll just think, that was quite fun. I wonder if I just call them again, I kind of miss them. And then I kind of spend like 2 hours with them, and I'm sort of thinking, yeah, now I realize why I stopped talking to them. But then that happens to everyone. I stop talking to everyone. It is kind of bad, but it's their fault for being annoying. Plus, I don't like the idea that someone has any sort of power over me, so I kind of break it off before I actually care about them in any sort of way. This is guys, by the way. Girls, there's no chance of me like having that problem, which is why I can treat them like such shit. So like all the time on Facebook, I'll always post like really like rude stuff.
Turn,
which other
I'm
guys are thinking.
straight and I treat girls almost as poorly as you do half the fucking time. It really just
I
comes
guess,
down.
but I'm not so angry about it, which
Yeah.
you are.
Hey, I
I'm
don't
just
do it
sort
out of anger. I do it because it's funny as hell. Any girl,
I-
I think just about any girl I've ever actually been mad at, I just don't talk to. Because it causes more drama than it's worth. Now, girls,
like-
I don't really know that well, but, like, they annoy me. Oh, yeah, I'll troll the shit out of them. Because I don't have an audience that wants to see it. Because the girl's annoying.
Well, I mean, this is usually girls I know. I usually make generally just sort of sexual comments or something which, usually I'd say, oh, that's so outrageous. But then they realize that I'm not perving on them because I'm not interested in them. So then they struggle to react because they don't know what to say. They can't just say,
Yeah.
oh, you're such a dirty perv because, like,
You gay.
I'm not perving on you, bitch. So yeah, it's fun. I mean, a lot of the guys, they just kind of come out and they start laughing. And I mean, guys in general, they just don't have the balls. Like, if a girl is just acting like an idiot, they don't have the balls to just say, like, they don't have to be rude about it. They can even be subtle and just sort of, like, break it to them in a nice, gentle way that they're being an idiot. But they don't even do that. They always have to side with the girl or kind of
Yep.
try and. That's the thing. We always encourage women's bullshit, which is this is one of the biggest problems. It's like it's more kind of a nurture thing than it is a nature. Because there are plenty of girls that are pretty cool.
I question
But-
if this fucking segment's gonna get us in trouble, I swear. Got on such a tangent.
I don't. What trouble is it going to get us in? It's not about foreign policy. I don't care.
True.
There's pretty much nothing we can really get in trouble for, unless we start talking about doing things that are illegal,
Yeah.
which
So,
we have.
do you guys want to move on to something else, or do you still want to keep going on this shit?
I think I've divulged enough information about stupid people in my life, so we can move on.
Is he living in a fridge right now? I think.
What?
Have you crawled
It
inside
sounds
a
like-
fridge?
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of
Mm.
background kind of buzzing thing, like humming.
That is strange.
Alright, well, tell you what, I gotta go do something real quick, so I'm gonna end the recording, and I'm gonna pick it up when I get back. Alright? Everyone flip their shit.
Black, y'all, and I'm blickety black, 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 y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, 'cause I'm
And we're back! How's it going, Taryn? You having fun? What you been doing, buddy?
Oh right, yeah, nice and kind of.
You drunk, aren't you?
How do you say that? Artificial, so artificial there. But no, I'm not drunk at the moment. I have been quite a lot recently, obviously, but then nothing's really new about that.
Proud of you.
Because my friends don't really have anything better to do. Although recently I did see my friend drink. Which was
He
nice.
really does never shut the fuck up, does he, Firus? So,
Yeah.
you guys excited
Well,
for
I'm good for
anything
this.
coming up, like games or some shit?
Ooh, well, yeah, I mean the Wii U obviously, but that's going to take a while. So maybe the new Halo remake, that would be fun.
We had so much fun when they announced the Wii U because there were so many people just shining through with how little they know about the console market and shit. That was fun.
Yeah, no, I think my favorite was everyone always kind of thinks, is it going to be more powerful than the 360 and PS3? And I'm like, but how could it not be? Because the PS3 and the 360 are really dated. So whoever thinks the PS3 is a powerful piece of kit, like for example, first of all, when the PS3 ever outdoes the 360 in terms of graphics, it's
The
because
thing is, yeah, the PS3 only really outdoes it like CPU wise, right? Except almost no one fucking makes use of it, you know?
exactly.
So it's like,
I mean,
oh yeah, big shit. Too bad none of your fucking exclusives really do shit with it.
well, some can. I mean, very rarely the PS3. I mean, if they really invest in it, it can outdo it, but it's very inefficient and it takes a lot of time to kind of use the cell to pick up where the RSX, its GPU, doesn't really
Yeah.
do anything. Whereas the 360 because 360 has unified pipelines and the PS3 doesn't. So that's kind of basically nowadays, people don't know that many years ago, before the kind of, because basically think about ATI, which is now AMT. They had like the X1800, 1900 and stuff, and they were like the last kind of separate pipeline for like vertex and pixel shaders, and then they unified it. And that's what the PS3, like the NVIDIA, it runs off like a 7800 or something like that, the core.
Right.
Whereas the 360 runs off of something which was kind of a prototype. So it was before the PC market had unified pipelines. But yeah, basically the GPU in the 360 is way better. Has more RAM, so it can comfortably like do stuff at higher resolutions than it can.
Yeah. But by this point, they're both outdated as shit, and anyone who thinks otherwise is
Exactly.
fucking stupid.
Like if you wanted to kit out my laptop is a laptop, and it can do more than what the 360 does. I mean, the only reason it might even struggle with perhaps a 360 game is because either it's not fully optimized, or like there's lots of background processes on an OS. Like an OS is hugely kind of taxing on the system.
I remember Jan Stunna was of all fucking people, was giving me shit for, like, making, quote, unfounded claims about it, you know? And I'm like, did you see the fucking tech demo?
Yeah, I mean, the tech demo, they think, it's not more powerful. But, I mean, literally, apparently the tech demos were rushed. Very rushed. And this is on incomplete hardware. So, I mean, this is prototype hardware. It's not even really done yet. Yeah. So they were just kind of thinking, oh, this was kind of a rough scale, what it can kind of sort of do. And it was already better than the 360 and PS3 anyway.
The thing is, it's like, you could essentially make a Wii U for the same price it used to take them to make, like, a 360, and make it, like, literally 4 to 5 times stronger. Like,
exactly.
Are you fucking shitting me? Like, this is not hard to do. I mean, obviously it can be a little bit hard to actually develop it, all optimize and shit, but I mean, getting the parts and whatnot is not expensive.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is they're using, apparently they're using the R770 as the core, which is an AMD core, and that's, like, a lot more powerful. I mean, if that's, because I was kind of slightly underwhelmed by that, but then I thought, on a console scale, where there's no OS, and the kind of ability that thing can run Crysis at 30 frames per second.
And supposedly, like, 1 fucking gig of video memory, thank God. Maybe we can finally get some real anti-aliasing. Because you and I both talked about how on a lot of HD TVs, because they aren't really, like, set up the way they should be, you end up getting where the 1080p, because it's, like, too, like, upscaled or some shit, you kind of get that retarded, like, jagged staircase effect.
Well,
because
it's not because of the TVs. It's because of
I mean, most TVs aren't really set for, as I'm saying, and consoles don't have any anti-aliasing, so it relies almost completely on a TV for any kind of, like, not jagged shit. Because there are games that don't have very good anti-aliasing, or none, that you can still get no jaggies with, but you have to look pretty fucking hard for the right TV.
Well, right, like, I mean, it depends.
You can't just look around and find a TV that says HD. With the Wii U, I'd imagine that it would be a lot, like, less goddamn annoying to just pick a TV and then, get, like, a Wii U game and it looks perfectly fine, Like, the difference would be marginal.
The problem really is that all HD TVs use progressive scan. Right? Yeah. And progressive scan shows each frame, like imagine like a slideshow, which is what basically every game is, a slideshow, but very fast. And each frame is rendered individually, whereas before, like, I remember if you played the GameCube on your old TVs, you never really noticed, like, aliasing at all. Like, there were no jagged edges, because when you sort of use interlacing, it ties 2 frames together, and they're slightly artifacts it, so it kind of blurs the edges, whereas with progressive scan, you see, so, like, if you play a Wii game, and you use it and play it in 480p, you can see the jaggies really clearly. But if you play it on, like, a CRT, a normal TV with no HD, it's kind of really, like, it's smooth around the edges, so it's funny. But yeah, that's what I really hate. I remember playing Halo 3, right? And then I was just sort of thinking, because, I mean, the Xbox 360 can use kind of 2 times, I think, anti-aliasing quite comfortably. And they do use it in a lot of games, and a lot of games...
Yeah, isn't Halo 3's resolution weird too? It's like a little bit shorter, but it's a little bit wider.
It's because the Halo 3 engine, when they did it, they used a special kind of frame buffer for the lighting. They used, like, a special type of frame buffer, and because of that, they couldn't use anti-aliasing as well. And they sacrificed the anti-aliasing for the lighting effects, which were really nice. But I was just I was in the desert level, and I was on the Pelican, and I'm just flying in, and I just looked down at, like, the Pelican's kind of edge, and then just see a staircase.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I got so mad.
It's like getting stabbed in the fucking eye by the goddamn, like, little drop pad thingy.
No, but what I hate is that, I mean, I didn't mind anything. Like, with the Wii, whatever graphical shortcomings it has, I don't mind because from the beginning they said we're not
Yeah.
focusing on visuals. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'm not expecting visuals. But with the 360 and PS3, all they ever said is we have a true HD experience. And I'm like, okay, fine. Then if you're going to tell me that I'm going to pay for some really detailed, nice graphics, then I expect anti-aliasing because I've been doing this shit since like 2002. So to me, it's just a standard thing now. And
Right.
I see that aliasing, that level of it, and I'm like,
Fucking
no,
hate that shit.
I can't deal with this. And the PS3 actually has worse aliasing than 360 because
Yep.
it has less VRAM.
Yep.
So
Well,
yeah,
it's technically not VRAM, but I think anyone who actually.
dedicated video RAM.
Yeah. So we'll get back to Halo in a bit though, but Firus, any fucking retarded ass games you're interested in? There's gotta be at least one, right, man? Say words.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to Skyward Sword. I mean, I haven't been keeping up too much with what's going on because I'm trying to avoid knowing everything about the game because I've ever since Brawl I've avoided knowing everything about a game before it came out because that just ended terribly with Brawl. But I'm interested in Skyward Sword. It seems interesting. People I've heard people complaining about the fact that there's no Ganon in it, but
Wait, people
No.
actually complained about
That is what I love about it.
because
I love it.
because he made Twilight Princess so amazing, right? And by the way, if anyone actually thought the end of Twilight Princess was that good, I don't want to talk with you. I really
I have to admit, Twilight Princess's ending battle with like the many kind of stages to the battle
Yeah.
with Ganon were really cool. But I mean,
it would have been so cool if there was some kind of fucking challenge. But it's like, fucking, the very end, you literally just stay away from him until a goddamn little, quick time event, initiation button thing comes up, and you just tap the shit out of that, and then you win the game.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
can even win that fight by distracting him with a fishing rod.
Oh, that's brilliant. That sounds like something out of a Japanese, like, folktale or something.
Whoa. He was very interested in fish. Yeah, he wanted to have very good sushi. But I basically, I mean, the thing is, the problem with Twilight Princess is when I was reading up, it was like 2004, 2005, and I was really excited for it. The graphics for the GameCube.
Yeah.
See, when it was originally and I still think it is, as a GameCube game, one of the best made. And
Oh, yeah.
the graphics were
Yeah.
incredible, and it was a great Panda Fest. It
Yeah.
basically put in everything the fans ever wanted: a mature Link, like very like a more advanced sword play. It had a darker theme. Well, kind of artificially darker. To me,
Yeah.
it never really felt as dark as like Majora's Mask, but that's a story for another time. I could go on forever. And there were a lot of things that it had, great things that it had that everybody always wanted, and that's why it fell short because it was just
Yeah.
what everyone wanted and nothing that they could never have thought of. And
Yeah.
The pacing in that game kind of fell short, too. Like,
yeah, the beginning was so long.
what was so annoying was, like, they start to actually almost get you involved in the plot, right? Even though I still didn't think it was that dark, because not much is really happening, you know?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so you got the Zant character, who, I mean, every once in a while he makes, like, a weird-ass noise, but he's still, like, creepy, you know? He's got that, like, mask on. He seems to not really give a shit that you even exist. And then, suddenly, just, like they remembered they have to end this plot. And so they throw Ganon in. And then suddenly Zant becomes a girly little cat thing. You beat the shit out of him. And then it's just like, oh, hey, look, it's Ganon. Oh, hey, this really forced, like, ending where you just go up to this castle and you go through another fucking, dungeon thing and beat the
Yeah,
shit out of Ganon again.
I really think it would have been better if they had just left Zant as the main villain because you feel like he's the main villain for like 80% of the game, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh wait, yeah, Ganon's there too, and then it's like, okay, well, Zant was irrelevant and we've seen Ganon before, and it just kind of like...
And you get, like, the shortest glimpse of, like, the real Twilight world. I mean, obviously you see the Twilight versions of your, wherever the hell you are. But I mean, they actually like let you see like the people and whatnot, and you just get like the smallest little glimpse at their culture, and like it's hard to give a shit because once again, it feels like the entire backstory around that becomes irrelevant the instant Ganon shows up. It's like, oh yeah, you're just once again the hero guy, and sure you kind of earned it, but at the same time it feels like people just kind of threw it at you, Like,
Yeah.
Link didn't really come into his own. People just kind of gave him shit, and he went nuts with it.
Yeah, I mean, I like Twilight Princess a lot, but I do think that I think it fell short in some aspects, and as Terrence said, it just fulfilled what everyone wanted, and then they didn't like it.
Yeah, I've been ignoring a lot of news about Skyward Sword on purpose as well, but the Ganon bit, that's actually what got me the most interested, because for the longest time I was kind of ignoring it, especially because I don't even have that Wii Motion Plus bullshit yet, because I haven't bought
Neither do I.
I haven't bought a
come
Wii
with the
game
game.
like since Sprawl. I think I got maybe like the Resident Evil 4 redo on the Wii, and I can't think of anything else I really own for the Wii. I really don't give a shit about that console.
But I mean, I did kind of enjoy when Ganon came into Wind Waker, because Ganon wasn't
Ganon
like,
was a boss in Wind Waker, man.
exactly. He wasn't just like ha ha ha, fuck you, you're all weak. He was kind of he had real kind of motivations. It wasn't just sort of, I want to be the ruler of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of like that, but he had some level of depth to him, and like the ending part,
He
what it
shows
was is
kind of like a
gone
desire
insane.
for Hyrule, not like power, but like Hyrule.
Exactly,
likes
that's
that
all he
way.
wanted. He didn't care about, and it's not just that. It's like he was truly insane by the end of Wind Waker. It's like he'd gone insane after what happened, like with the whole imprisoning and stuff.
Yeah.
Like the years of just what he'd gone through, just because with he's got Zelda like in the bed and stuff. I'm like, wait, nice one there. Take a seat over there, and he's literally just completely batshit insane. Like at the end, the King of Hyrule just floods the Hyrule, and he's just like, and he just cracks up laughing for like 5 minutes, just loses his shit. And he's like, well, if I'm going to lose Hyrule, I'll just make sure that you two drown with me as well. And just tries to kill you. Like, his face goes completely, like, mental. So it's great. I mean, I loved Wind Waker. I mean, the Triforce Hunt did ruin it slightly. But if you do that in a specific way, you can actually do it really quickly. But even then, like, the actual game, its whole kind of premise and Ganon himself, it was great.
Yeah.
So
That, and he's not like forced into the story, like he becomes a central thing soon enough,
you see him really early.
He's the entire reason your sister gets taken and shit. Well, like
Exactly.
in Twilight Princess, it's just like the entire time I was seriously curious as to who what's up with Zant, right? And people told me Ganon was gonna be in there, but that was like a spoiler, I wasn't. Like, I mean, you kind of expect it, but I'm like, well, how does he fit in? I was actually curious. Like, are they, co-conspirators or some shit, or is he, because this is supposed to be like a dark game or some shit. And then he just shows up and he's like, hey, I'm the bad guy. Remember, not Zant. Fuck this guy. And Zant just ends up being the world's biggest pussy.
Yeah.
His voice, oh my god, I cringed. I was laughing, but I was cringing while I did it.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. I liked Zant. Actually, I did like Zant, and I like the fact that he was a bit of a fruitcake. Because I like villains who aren't like. Because what they're doing with this current villain, they say apparently, is that he's kind of the antithesis to Ganon. He's like, he's not the big like masculine kind of typical villain. This guy's sort of this like kind of slim frame and kind of slightly ambiguous kind of gender, his kind of flamboyant nature, is to kind of contrast Ganon's kind of typical macho kind of personality, which I think is cool if they don't kind of make it too forced.
Yeah.
But like knowing Miyamoto and like his crew, it will be good.
I don't think they do anything like too anime level bullshit, because they're too crazy to be standard.
Yeah.
What's funny though is I remember. So you started to share with me the story about how like Ganon's not going to be in there when they posted it up on IGN. And I was, it was like 4 a.m. or some shit. I'm tired as hell. And you sent me that. And so I kind of clicked on it and then ignored it. And then I left and I came back, looked at it. And then my, really fucking tired stupor just went, oh man, I bet Taryn would be interested in this story.
Yeah.
Paste a link and I get to AIM, right? And I click on your name. And I'm about to paste it and I look up and I'm like, oh, wait a fucking minute.
Yeah.
I think I need to go to bed, guys.
But yeah, that was it's true, it is. Although sleep, I think personally I have the most interesting times of my life in my sleep rather than almost like being awake.
if you can get consistent lucid dreams, your life is already better than your waking life. Especially if you know what the fuck you're doing. Anyway, on other games, you mentioned the Halo remake. And I was
Yes.
kind of
Oh my
excited
god.
for that.
All right. For everyone who doesn't appreciate Halo, which is most people on Smashboards because they're dicks, right? Let me break it down for them because it's a very important subject which I like to keep quite close to heart. First of all, when Halo came out as a console first-person shooter, right, it was the defining one. Nothing,
Oh, yeah.
because there were other couple first-person
It
shooters
was
that
a
came
system
out.
seller for Xbox, like the system
Yeah.
seller.
Exactly,
If
it
you
was
got an
defining.
Xbox, it was because you wanted Halo.
Right, and its controls were perfect at the time. They were perfect. They just had everything, and the system was perfect. Like the whole new idea of you can only carry 2 guns because, well, you don't have an infinite pocket where you can store a nuclear warhead launcher. And like in Turok, for example, I remember the traditional GoldenEye even. You have a pistol, and then you have a rocket launcher, and then you have 50 firearms that you can just scroll through, as if James Bond, by some miracle of science, even Q couldn't come up with something that good. So I mean, you've got 2 guns, great. It just feels right. And then, for example, you've got the different button for grenades, which was never done before. I don't think a different button for grenades. It was great, and the plasma grenades, that was cool. Sticky grenades, and then the enemies, they were clever. They were clever for the time.
I think
And
one of my favorite things about the enemies is that they didn't just kind of come at you like robots. They gave them enough mannerisms to where they were almost believable. And that's
Right,
one thing
right.
even games
Yeah.
today don't do. Like the grunts when they freaked out, or elites pointing at you and yelling, or when you get rid of their shield and they they kind of go nah and all that other
Charge
shit.
you.
Or if you shot them in the head, sometimes they'd fire their gun fruitlessly at the ground a few times before they fell over and died. Shit like that made them a lot more believable.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
that was fucking crazy to me back then when I was a kid, when I was used to most characters just being, these stupid, retarded enemies that really never came off as something I should actually give a shit about.
And and this was the first kind of first-person shooter at the time that had really open environments, huge. The maps are enormous, and they felt open, the way they were designed, especially the Halo level, the second one, for example, the huge green areas and stuff.
What I liked about that was while they were open, it wasn't like an open world game, so they could still script them well.
Yeah.
Because I don't know,
Right.
open world games, I don't get why so many people get hyped about most of them if they're not hilarious shit like Saints Row. Because it's so hard to make the AI work in that kind of a setting and make good, memorable sequences. But Halo, they got I think they got the perfect amount of what's the word, real estate. Yeah, there's just enough room to play around in without getting too lost or without the AI fucking up too hard.
Right. What they did is at the time they created a map which felt like the size of a planet. It felt like an expansive, huge world that you could just explore endlessly. But at the same time, you had your mission and you followed that track, and it kind of the freedom to go and attack from the right instead of the left. That is just something that choice is a huge thing for me in games, but not forced choice, but a choice that feels natural. And they did that. The weapon system was really good. The music, okay, that they had really well orchestrated music, really well arranged, and the composers were really good, and it really added the atmosphere to the game. And for example, the Flood were a good idea because you originally think, that these Covenant, that maybe they're a bit stale now, and then suddenly just throw this huge threat at you, and then you realize, and they tie into the Halo backstory as to why Halo systems were even created, and it all works so well. Space zombies and shit, how cool is that? And then these days people start saying stuff like Halo is really generic, and it's kind of, well, it's not generic.
It's funny how
always
people
gonna be
say
original.
every game rips off of Halo, and yet almost no game actually uses the same mechanics of Halo. They just have regenerating health, thus they're the same as Halo. Ignore the fact that the gunplay is hella different, enemies are nowhere near the same, and all they focus on is multiplayer in these fucking games.
But Halo, right, with its regenerating health, I was happy with that because this is 2,500 or something. This is way off in the future, so they have the capacity to make these kind of blast shields or whatever, and then
Yeah.
you know, but they still had that little health bar. So after your shield went down, you died. But like with other games like Call of Duty, you get shot like 50 times, and then your health comes back. That I can't believe. Halo, I can believe. So like Halo set a precedent, and it set like a bar which everyone started to copy. And I mean that's off its own merits. But like Halo's never not original, because Halo created every kind of typical stale mechanic in FPS is because of Halo. So Halo is always original, and if Halo reuses its shit every game, it doesn't matter because Halo created it. And
that annoys me when people say like every Halo is like exactly the same, and I'm like, they make so many fucking changes, the game couldn't feel much more different. Except maybe between Halo 2 and Halo 3, I would like agree they made some shit that it felt almost a little like not enough done. But that in Halo 3 was just like fuck balls easy, right? Reach, I gotta say, is still one of the most impressive like 360 like / current gen games I've played, like AI wise. Especially if you have some of the difficulty modifiers on. If there are people listening that have played through that game and enjoyed it, but actually know how to use the fucking plasma pistol and thus kind of rate most elites, try Mythic. Like, that shit makes them a lot scarier because you don't get to just like run out into some bullets and, well, plasma and like tag them, because they can take more than one usually, which means they're still shooting at you without getting like stunned, which means if you fuck up, you're going to die. Not to mention, I've had like more than a couple moments where they would like run out of cover because they knew they were safe, right? And they would like literally fucking chase me, and I would have to turn around, run, and like hop over some shit before they'd finally stop. And like no other game does that for me, and I kind of wish they did, because I like those moments where like I actually feel afraid of the enemy. Like, oh, if I stop, he's gonna kick my goddamn dick in.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's what I liked about really like retro games, because obviously retro games didn't have the data to make a long game, so they'd make enemies kill you really quickly. Like even overworld enemies would kill you. So like you'd actually run away from enemies. But you know that kind of, I kind of like that feeling, and I don't expect enemies to be ridiculously deadly all the time. Like, you know, like touch me and I die. But I expect a sort of feeling where I'm sort of worried about being killed by the enemies and not kind of just thinking, oh, they're just in the way and I just want to get to the next point.
Make them something you can respect, but they aren't that hard to kill, which is exactly how the elites usually are in Halo. Like, there's more than enough ways you can fucking cheese those things, but like, if they get you in the right situation, it becomes a lot harder.
Right.
Yeah, because if they don't pose any threat, then it just becomes just like mindless, and then you get bored, and then you're just waiting for the next thing, and then the game sucks. So, yeah.
Yeah, only thing I'm really I'm kind of excited, but a little disappointed with the remake, because like they've said before, it is pretty much just like a reskin, although apparently they're adding the difficulty modifier shit, which I guess I'll fuck around with. But I mean, still, I think it'd also be good for anyone who hasn't played Halo 1, because they can still kind of get that, like, the nice feeling a lot of people when they played the game originally got, because, like, back when you first landed on Halo and you stepped outside and you're in this big expansive world and everything's, you know, new and fresh, like, you get that all over again because now the game looks like a current gen game. And like when the AI is actually fighting you, it still feels the same. I think the main part where it really shows how dated it is when there's like the bits where they don't know you're there yet, and you just kind of like start slapping fucking grunts, and like an elite will walk past a dead grunt and be like, "Oh, hey," and just keep walking like there's no problem. Love that.
I'm pretty sure they might. They
could edit that. I wouldn't I wouldn't give them shit for that. I'm sure someone would. I don't know. It's hilarious to me, though. I don't know. I can't remember if this happens in the Xbox version, but I've been playing the PC version a lot, right? Because better FPS. And there's a few moments where, like, I've slapped the grunt or some shit, and he would, like, say some line he wasn't supposed to, and everyone else would ignore it. Like, you'd hear him just go, like, "Run for your lives!" or something, and, like, the rest of us sleeping there, and I'm like, okay. Like, I'll slap one, and for some reason he'll kind of go, like, flying a bit farther than I expected. And he, like, literally landed in front of an elite. Like, his blood was on the elite's shoes. And the elite just goes, oh, and just keeps walking. Like, you not gonna check that out, buddy? Normally when corpses start flying at me, I kind of at least try to investigate the source or act worried. But nope, not him.
Yeah, also Halo had the first one had some of the best levels in like FPS history. I go on about this a lot. Like Assault on the Control Room was like one of the best kind of scripted levels because you start like I don't know how do you even start. You start in like the big snowy area and like it's like an assault. Like you're going with all the Marines and stuff, and they're still kind of take the fight to them and let's go and like,
Yeah.
like destroy the Halo control room and stuff or like activate it. And then you're all going and it feels really cool. And then suddenly it's like you get trapped and people start dying. It's like, oh shit. And there's like a huge battle and there's like banshees everywhere. There's ghosts, there's wraiths, and like the invisible elites. It's like the hunters as well. Like all the enemies are around. Like at one point, like in just going into the control room. Then you go into the control room and it's like a really cramped like indoor environment. And it feels like a really huge, like endless kind of like technological system that they built, which is what it is. But so it feels just like what it is. And then you come out again, like flying between the corridors and stuff. It's just so cool. It's like the best level like I've ever played in an FPS, one of them. And like that, I don't think they've ever topped it in a level because they try and go for the whole, like, you know, epic kind of, oh, it's we're humanity's last hope. And this wasn't about being humanity's last hope. This was just a
You're
huge
just
kind of,
Yeah,
it was
you're
just
at some
scale.
place. Yeah.
It was just everything was due to the actual scale and the music and everything. And that's what they need to do is like current games really, which they don't do, which is kind of sad.
Then I think the flood was one of the most genuine, like one of the more genuinely surprising moments I've had in a game. Like Cortana kind of warns you that you need to go to some fucking place, right? But she doesn't really say why. She's just like really panicked about it. And then you get there and you watch the little video of like the flood getting on dudes, and I'm like, what was that? And then like you start hearing like all the doors like start to cave away and shit.
Yeah.
And so you see the little bubbly things, the infection forms, and if you're like me and you just let them slap against your shields because they don't really kill you very fast.
Yeah.
It's faster than shooting them sometimes. And so I'm like, they're adorable. I love them. Come, give me hugs, and they'll pop and shit. And so I'm wondering, like, okay, well, I have this armor on, so I guess I don't have to worry. Sucks to be those Marines, I guess. But I'm kind of wondering where the Marines are. And then, like, all these fucking undead pieces of shit come out. And it's like space zombies. That's just awesome. And they didn't advertise that shit. You know, it was all like the Covenant. You're on this weird little ring thing. They never said and space zombies. That was awesome.
Yeah. And then ultimately they sort of become, they are sort of the main focus of it. Because when you think about it, the Covenant and like the humans, like even though they are in a huge war, like Halo is what it's all about. And
Yeah.
Halo's entire existence is thanks to the flood, and like the whole kind of forerunner thing, this whole kind of chain of events is because of the flood. So really there's sort of like the main enemy, like there's so much the main enemy that even the humans and the Covenant will like kind of both try and kill them, like they're enemies to both of them. So it's kind of cool that, yeah, I like that. And then the whole kind of in Halo 2, like the elites defecting to like,
Yeah.
because they know what Halo's for, and then you know they think that the flood are the real enemies, which they are. So it's quite cool. I like it.
Oh, one
I
thing
like
though,
Halo.
that reminds me, because we mentioned how Twilight Princess had some serious pacing issues where it started off slow, and then you're like teleporting all over the fucking place. And
Yeah.
I think the game was almost trying to troll me when, after not even literally not seeing my horse, like I didn't even know where the fuck I left it. For all I knew, it was being eaten. And it's been like 2 or 3 hours, so I've just been like teleporting all over the fucking place, and then someone gives me this horse whistle, and I'm like,
They give you
oh.
yeah.
Thanks! I don't need this.
Yeah, you get the horse whistle before you go to the city in the sky. Why? Why? Like, literally, it's like, well, you're going to go to the last temple, which is in the sky, so you're not going to use Epona anyway, and then you're going to go to the Twilight Realm, and then after that, Epona becomes obsolete. So it's like, why are you giving me Epona now? Like, why can't you just sort of give it much earlier? So it's like, yeah, it just completely ruined it. Because you had to go and find a specific patch of grass and blow the whistle. And it's like,
yeah, it's like,
it's
why the
just-
fuck even bother? Because you can teleport everywhere.
yeah, I don't know.
But Halo, on their hand, which is why I bring this up, at least Halo 1, I can't really speak to some of the other ones, mainly because I don't really remember / give a shit. But I can say, like, it starts off, like, kind of, like, it seems semi-serious, but like you get the feeling that you can still kick the shit out of the Covenant if you try hard enough, right? Like they're organizing a counterattack. And then the Flood comes around, and suddenly you realize you're kind of alone. Like there are no more Marine buddies. They're pretty much all getting like, and you find that they've all been like pretty much slaughtered, right? Aside from like a few select people who have managed to stay in the air or some shit like Fohammer. And so the farther you go in, like the levels even their kind of color scale kind of change a little bit because now it's like nighttime and the music suddenly a lot like it's not epic anymore. It's more like slower and somber and whatnot.
Yeah.
And like the first thing Master Chief asks when you know the big piece of shit blows up is if like anyone else made it off. Which I think actually added a good deal of like, you know, this isn't just some badass, you know, he actually like cared about these people.
Yeah.
But it's
No,
okay because
also-
they can never really die. I mean, you see Sergeant Johnson die 50 times. I don't believe he died in Halo 3. I believe he
Yeah.
just kind of got up, poofed out somewhere later, and he's gonna show up in Halo 4. He's just gonna like wake up near Master Chief and be like, "Oh hey, hi, how's it going?"
Sergeant Johnson was awesome. I love Sergeant Johnson. But like, also about Halo, at the beginning, no, not so much at the beginning. Like near the end, like when you start going through the levels where the Flood have started to take control. So at first it was like a huge battle with the Covenant, and that's what it was all about. And then suddenly it was like a desperate battle for survival on both sides. They're both like fighting this force, which is basically sapping everyone. And then like with Keys, like your commander just
Yeah.
like you see him and he's like, you know, in the Flood thing and he's turning, and then Master Chief is just sort of like and just punches a hole through his face, like kind of, yeah, well, we can't risk this, he's already gone. And I just kind of I like that because it just sort of completely set the mood where it's like all hope for everyone kind of is lost. It's not so much a kind of battle between the two armies, it's just sort of literally a desperate struggle for survival. And so
I think
that
my
was good.
biggest complaint with the game, other than the fact that they kind of reused some parts, although they were already kind of doing it at the beginning, and that was more budget shit, really, was the library. I think they spawned just a bit too many Flood. I think in the other parts of the game, the Flood, they had almost like a perfect balance, you know, like there was a lot of them, but it didn't feel endless. There are parts of the library, I wasn't sure if it was like I was supposed to run past it or not, because of how many fucking times they respawned, you know? So,
Yeah.
for anyone who hasn't played, the library, you go through like this big ass area and you can see like these vent things, right? And the Flood have completely taken over the library. Like already completely swarmed it. And you need to go down through the library to grab this key thing to fire up Halo. And so, oh dear God, what was that? So you go through the library and the Flood come through these vent things. And they never just came out once. Or at least it was pretty rare for them to only come out once. So you'd kill them and then you'd back up and wait for more to come. And I remember on like the third wave of like on this one set of events, I was like, do I run past this shit? I can't. What the fuck do I do? And it's like, no, you just gotta be patient as shit. It just got a little annoying.
Yeah, the Flood, I remember when we were kids, the Flood on Legendary was like the
God.
level that we had to do. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, when you're 10 years old, 11 years old, you're not that good at games. And then you're playing on Legendary, which was quite a taxing thing for Halo 1. It was quite, like, tough. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even easy now. Like, you can
It's
say
not
it's
hella
like,
easy. I've played through it a few times in Legendary. It's
I mean,
not like
it's not-
the hardest shit, but I mean,
yeah, it's not like Ninja Gaiden or something, but it's
Huh,
like,
yeah.
you know,
I
it's,
think
it
Halo's
is
a pretty good balance with difficulty.
And then you like, and then you have to pick off all these Floods with your shotgun, and then you think, oh, okay, it's done. And then, no, it's not. They're going to keep coming and coming and coming and coming. So, yeah, that was a funny for us as kids. We thought, like, oh my god, we're never going to survive this. And especially because 11-year-olds are scared of space zombies as well. So that added to the whole thing.
So yeah, good AI. AI actually seemed believable. Good atmosphere. Space zombies. Best game ever. No one.
So yeah, whoever says Halo is a generic series, it created FPS now, so it's never going to be generic. But I mean, I think they could do with refreshing stuff.
Oh yeah.
But then everything can.
Main thing I was really hoping for with the remake was something kind of like what they're doing with Black Mesa. If anyone hasn't heard of it, if anyone listening is a Half-Life fan, I'm telling you right now, look up Black Mesa on Google or whatever the fuck you use, and it should be like the first link should take you to there's this big fan mod that's been approved by Valve. That's basically a full remake of Half-Life 1, and they're doing an absolutely phenomenal job with it from what I'm seeing, because in case anyone hasn't played Half-Life 1, Half-Life 1 has a lot of like really blank areas. Have you ever played Half-Life 1, Taryn?
Yeah, but a long time ago.
Like, there's a lot of parts where it's supposed to be like living quarters or some shit, but you won't believe anyone's ever actually lived there. Or like there's a spot with like you can kind of see the bottom of this pit thing, and there's like some fucking boxes on crates, and I'm like, why is this shit here? And it's just like stuff like that that is just kind of weird, right? They're keeping like the almost exact same layout on almost every single map. Like they have a couple comparison screenshots, but they add so much more detail, and like they're making a good deal of little changes to like make certain parts harder or easier, whatever the fuck they felt needed changes, right? Basically bringing up Half-Life to like a current gen type game, because I mean there are some, I would say, pretty legit criticisms of like Half-Life compared to like how shit is now. Like I would argue the Marines in that game are pretty smart, but at the same time, it feels like really awkward fighting them at times because they move around so quickly and they kind of react to shit so suddenly. And so they range from like being hard as hell to like them running into the weirdest shit. It's just kind of funny. Like it feels almost inconsistent at times, and I'm kind of interested to see what they do with that. But the point is, they're not just changing like the graphics; they're also changing up the gameplay. But they're trying to make you like remember the old game as well. That's what I was kind of hoping for, and I hope they would do this with Halo 4 then. Like, I really want to... I would love to see a game that basically almost completely copies the same, like, mechanics from Halo 1, so you still have that feel, so you get all that nostalgia and shit out of your system. But, like, with Reach's AI or something, because, like I said, that was some really goddamn impressive AI.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, because the problem with remakes is that usually you wanna keep purists happy more than you want to keep... Because the people who buy remakes are the people who played it originally, more so than kind of people who think, oh, what was the original like? Most people kind of think, oh, it's not really worth that much because it's an old game. But like, it's purists that buy it. So, and if you change it in any way really, apart from like graphics or like, I don't know, putting orchestral music, and even putting orchestral music, I mean, the original Halo luckily had that. But like, say for example, if you got like A Link to the Past, and then you orchestrated everything, they would get angry. The fans would probably get angry because they'd say, oh, you did it wrong. And to be honest, I think they did, like, for example, in Brawl, I remember, like, the Dark World theme. They did, like, the worst possible arrangement of the Dark World theme that I could ever imagine. Like, I didn't like it in any way possible because, like, the original Dark World theme was an epic kind of overture. It was, like, a huge kind of thing because it was a big world, right? It was the whole Dark World, and it was, like, it was basically a false kind of orchestra feeling with the old kind of 16-bit music, but it felt amazing and it felt really epic when you're like on top of a pyramid and like this music turns on. But then like in Brawl they kind of completely killed it, whereas they always put like the orchestral stuff around and things like the main Zelda theme and like what else, the Ocarina of Time medley. They put like all kinds of orchestral stuff on that, and fuck Ocarina of Time, fuck its music. Okay, I'm sick of the oversaturation of that game. It's like its music. Some of it was great, but a lot of it wasn't that memorable. Really, like I don't really see it as being as amazing as others.
I liked when you showed me the original Fire Temple music, where like some apparently Muslims got mad at it because like it uses the word Allah if you like listen really closely to like people chanting.
Yeah, it used, like,
and you're like, all right, see ya, off to go play A Link to Akbar, and I just started laughing my ass off.
Yeah, but it was the original Fire Temple was really. I like the original Fire Temple.
I like it. Yeah, I listened to it. I was like, that's kind of fucking awesome.
And what else? Like they actually changed now. The mirror shield and a lot of the blocks in Ocarina of Time. Yeah. They used to have the crescent moon and star.
Oh wow.
And that's well, the Muslims use that as a symbol. But I mean, crescent moon and star is just crescent moon and star. And then they said no, but this is
shit now.
Muslims. So the Sheikah symbol was changed to some weird thing like
the eye thing?
Different. Well, no, not the eye. It was like it's like this kind of weird pattern. It's got two circles on the side, and it's got. I mean, I can't describe it really. It's just a strange shape, but it's not crescent moon star, which kind of killed it for me because I like that.
Right.
I mean, they did it so they didn't get bombed by the Taliban, which is very, very likely. I mean, literally, you think, that Muslims. No, they can't deal with it. Okay, they will not deal with it. They will literally just kill you if you offend. Like there is no kind of in between or some. They can understand. No, they won't. They'll just kill you. Like we've seen it documented in history. Like the Pope is like, Islam is a violent religion spread by the sword. How dare you say that? Let's go kill some nuns. Okay. Well, the Pope just called you violent. I'm not sure if that's helping your argument,
Yeah.
but that's the point.
Well,
They
I mean,
don't give a
obviously,
shit.
it's not like all Muslims are that mad, but I mean, there's like,
Obviously
if
not
you
all,
insult
but-
Islam openly, you are like a lot more. I would argue like, well, depends like how you're insulting Islam too, because I mean, it seems almost like people who are willing to discriminate against them almost seem to get fucking ignored, like the Fox pundits and shit. The people who will just like. The people who use the fucking, like, images and shit, that's what seems to piss them off the most. Because that's, like, transgressing to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the things though that Fox to them is seen as the whole kind of part of the Republican American system,
Yeah.
and to them that entire thing is the enemy. So that's why they kind of don't really care about what Fox says, because they already acknowledge him as the enemy.
Yeah.
So they don't, like, of course they're going to say offensive stuff to them. They're not really that bothered. But like, I don't know, if some Danish cartoonist makes a Muhammad cartoon, then shit hits the fan.
Yeah, didn't, like, that fucking, this one dude who apparently had already done, like, what was it, like, Jesus as a donkey or some shit, I can't remember, did decide to do, like, one with Muhammad, because why the fuck not, I guess. And he, like, immediately started getting death threats. I'm like, oh, yeah, have fun with that.
Didn't he get no, because like a lot of Danish publishers, when they did those cartoons, a lot of them got bombed. Like a lot of the publishers any publisher that ever published that cartoon, like the buildings were bombed and stuff. So like, yeah, I mean, just don't piss off Muslims, dude. So that's why Nintendo pulled off the crescent moon and star, because you don't want to piss off the Muslims, because they'll fly over to Japan and they won't even bother to land. They'll just fly the plane. Like, we've learned this from experience.
So fucking. Oh god, that's awful. Alright, so is there anything else, like, games-wise or some shit we're talking about, or are we wrapping this up?
Games wise, well, before anyone who doesn't have Monster Hunter 3 on Nintendo, or some people call it Monster Hunter Tri, because the Japanese like to make things a bit cool, they should get it. It is one of the best. Like if Japan still like made games like that, like instead of its stupid RPGs, like this is an RPG, this game, right? But I mean, it's in the looser sense of the word. Like, it literally is an RPG because you play the role of a guy, which is what a role-playing game is. So RPG shouldn't just mean generic stereotype. It should just mean role-playing game. And so you play the role of a guy who goes around and kills monsters for a living. How could that go wrong? And so they get it, like, they realize that this is a thing where you just go around and kill stuff. So why should we bother making a complex story?
Yeah.
We shouldn't. So they don't. So literally it is, you've been hired by this village to kill this big monster, but you're not good enough yet. So you're going to have to train up and kill a bunch of other monsters, and then do the big hunt and kill the big one. And that's what you do.
You
And
know,
so
I
literally
just realized Firus has been, like, almost completely dead silent for half of this shit. He's like, oh yeah, Halo, gives a fuck, and just kind of like...
I'm sorry.
Is there anything you're excited for, buddy? Come on, I'm sure there's something. Like, besides Skyward Sword.
Well, if they ever actually decide to do it, I'm excited for Mirror's Edge too, but they'll probably
happening,
find a way to
fuck
screw
you.
that up anyway.
Firus is one of those people that enjoyed Mirror's Edge. Everyone look at him funny.
I wanted to get that actually. I never picked it up, but I will, because like I just saw videos of it. It looks quite cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I love that game. It has a great atmosphere. I love the visual style of it, the way the city is set up, so it like represents the whole idea they have going with the oppressive government and all that crap. I don't know. It flows well, and I like jumping from building to building and all that. So I don't know. I played it a ton. So
I think you just enjoy the feeling you get when you miss a building jump and you fall to your death. Because how you imagine killing yourself.
yeah, the crumpling of bones is just music to my ears.
See? Well, that's what I tell you. It's a very depressed mind right here. Alright, well, this thing's already dragged on like hella, so I think we need to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I'm whatever my name is. It's Taryn. Say hi, Taryn. Or bye. Huh?
Yeah. Bye everyone. I guess I've talked
And,
so much.
Or, yeah, because you never shut up.
I'm not.
Yeah, well, it's
talking
not my
about-
fault.
And this is Firus, who doesn't know how to talk.
Yeah, I'm making up for
Yeah.
Firus' lack of talking.
This has been the Falcon and Terran Show.
Exactly.
Episode 2. Fuck this game.